Everyone complains about Andromeda's expressions, but actually they were just as bad as in Inquisition. It's really funny.
Yeah, it's funny to think about that because I feel like Inquisition did a better job of it, even though I think that the transition to Frostbite was kind of a weird thing to do. That Frostbite to me is not the right engine for that.
Okay. Good afternoon, folks. Thanks for joining us in this impromptu review of AngryJoe's 6-year-old Dragon Age Inquisition review. And boy, I don't know. I can't remember why we're doing this. Aside from someone recommended it to me, I reached out to people. No one was too interested. I said, okay, I got to get someone who loves this stuff. I got UDP because he's always here. So I got Glib with me. Glib, myself, UDP. Thanks, guys, for joining me. Appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
Okay, so, oh boy. No, we didn't get AngryJoe as a guest, but the thing is we're not harping on AngryJoe. The reason why we're looking at AngryJoe's videos, there's lots to cover, and he gave it a very high review, a very high score. So I think that's a good way to look at these things. I am very critical of the story. UDP is very critical of mostly everything because he follows all the information on how these games are made. And Glib, I think you're more the casual player when it comes to BioWare titles.
I'm a big BioWare fan in the classical sense. I think I've been over this before. I fell in love with BioWare's game format with Jade Empire. Like before I was like, oh, KOTOR, but I was always more interested in the Jedi Knight series at the time, and Star Wars was my entry. And then as soon as I played Jade Empire, I was into it. Dragon Age Inquisition to me was like one of their last really strong games, I felt like. And then did I say Inquisition? Sorry, I meant Origins, right?
Right. Yeah, you said.
Sorry, my bad. I've been up for a while, but anyway,
heretic.
The second one bothered me, and then the third one lost me, and so I'm very interested because I remember watching this review, and it was contentious at the time. So when you mentioned it, I was like, oh, this will be an interesting throwback. I can't wait to see what this is about.
Here's a super chat from from Brian Gate. Thank you. AngryJoe is fun and all, but never trust his RPG reviews. I don't recall watching much of AngryJoe's, specifically his role-playing game reviews. I know he does cover all sorts of games, whatever's popular for sure. So I'm sure he's done the Mass Effect series and what have you. And I think his response has been pretty honest and straightforward. He's not too in-depth. He just takes a lot of time, does a lot of production value, gets all the costumes, he acts it out, as you'll see very shortly. So I like the amount of effort he puts into everything, and I don't think he's ever trying to scam or lie, or he's not trying to sell you something. He's just trying to be honest, and I like that. So I've always liked AngryJoe. Anywho, let's get started.
I'm back, bitches! Rifts are opening all across Thetis, and my demons are pouring into your world! We have a new leader to find
straight away,
God.
problem.
What's that?
The whole demons invading the world is a C plot. It doesn't matter. It's like what they advertised just doesn't connect at all. Like the Fade rifts don't matter. The big hole in the sky doesn't matter. It's all about Corey the crackhead.
Oh right, yeah. The hole in the sky gets filled up in the first, not even the first chapter, the beginning. Act. Yeah, the first, just right at the start. Can you do it? Yeah, go do it. Yeah. It's done. Oh great, finished.
So, and then it's like demons are invading, but they're just happily over there, so we can just ignore them. Okay, cool.
That was it. Yeah.
And who will usher in a new age? Bow before your new master!
Not today, Demon Joe. I have closed yet another demon gate, companions. Lieutenant, report. Help me clean up this garbage. Oh my God! Why have you removed your garments all of a sudden?
Does this not please you, Commander?
This is highly inappropriate. But yes, I see you've been putting in extra time in the fields. This shall prove most useful in close quarters. Battle, I mean. Yes. Please, follow me to my quarters. I mean training grounds. Yes. Right this way, Lieutenant. I have something to show you.
That was actually one of his better jokes.
I remember when he was in like List of Thumbs, and was it that guy with the glasses as well?
Inquisitor, I am happy to report that Dragon Age Inquisition is magnitudes better than Dragon Age 2. Even though I didn't really think Dragon Age 2 was all that.
Yeah, that's not a very high standard to top, but depends on what he's talking about. So
bad. Just small-minded and inconsequential. Not so here. Here, you are hugely important, my lord. You have a...
Are you really hugely important? People seem to think you are, but...
Well, people tell you are, and then you're just bopping around going, yeah, sure, why not? Cool.
Yeah.
You're the hero of an MMO fetch quest, basically.
Yeah,
Right.
you're the only one who can close rifts, but you're treated as if, oh, let's put him in the front. Like, everyone just get behind this guy. He'll take on everyone at first. It's like, you kind of need him. Like, you really need him to protect him and keep him around and research how he closes rifts, because he's the only one who can do it. And you only figure out how you can do this, like, much later in the game and why it's only you.
I think it would have been better if someone else had this power and you were the one who was deciding over how this power should be used to close the rift. Like, you are either exploiting this person or you're trying to help this person, you know?
Like, you found him and they want protection from you. Like, you're like a mercenary leader, or you're basically Cassandra. Like, Cassandra would have worked. If you played as Cassandra and you had like some sickened holy man or holy woman who just can't move around too much, so you have to protect him a lot. Like, that would have worked.
Yeah, like what if you lived at the time of Andraste? Like, you saw Andraste, you're like, how would you treat them? Would these be revered? You know, you get to decide their future, basically.
Yeah, there's lots of things you could play with as a military leader, because Cassandra's already, what is she, the left or right hand of the divine? So she already commands respect. She's very religious. She's been around. She's a dragon. She's part of a house of dragon hunters. She started her own 3D anime. She has
Jesus.
Yeah, that horrible thing.
We don't talk about that.
No, we don't. She was the frame narrative character in Dragon Age 2. So it was like, oh, this is Cassandra. You get to play as her. That'd be awesome. Instead, you make your own random dude again.
Yeah.
Massive penis! Or a big vagina, depending on your gender. You judge people's fate and lives on a throne similar to Game of Thrones.
Lord Eraman,
This is such a stupid part of the
any
game.
protection you thought you had
It's done
has
better
apparently
in
been withdrawn.
Awakenings,
You will die.
which was done in
by
like
my
6 months.
hand.
So,
Petty actions.
I don't think
Wow.
I ever killed anyone in my playthrough on those throne decisions. I don't think I ever did. There was no need to.
because there isn't really a benefit or for killing them.
Right.
You know, there's no downside.
It was all, oh, I have a resource. Why would I kill you? I can use you. It was always that. It was never, I hate this guy, let's kill him. It's like, oh, you're under my control. I have full control of your life. It's like, great. I'll keep you in the dungeon. I'll sell you off or something. There was no reason to go around murdering. Like there's no point. Like, it's the same with Mass Effect 3. Like, why would you throw stuff, or Mass Effect 2, why would you throw stuff away? Why would you destroy it? Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible data. You did all these experiments. It's like, I didn't do the experiments. I just have the data. I have a flash drive. Why would I throw that away? Here's a super chat from Brian Gade. Thank you, Brian. AngryJoe is honest, but he's like a small child. He gets very excited and glosses over problems. I don't believe he revises from bad faith just to hype when he likes stuff. Okay, that's fair. I think it's a fair way of describing him.
That sounds like him to me. I wouldn't, a child to me always sounds really condescending, but at the same time, it's like that, like enthusiasm.
Yes,
is pretty much something that I've left behind. I wish I still had it to a degree, but also it's like, you can get enthusiastic for things and know that you're going to get disappointed, but he exploits that anger. So I guess that's kind of interesting. I'm interested in why he likes this game so much, because it's not really like Dragon Age Origins. There's a lot of differences to it. There's a clear priority difference in the way that it's presented. So I'm wondering if he's going to go to how it continues the story, or if it's like the spectacle that he liked a lot about.
Oh, it's definitely the spectacle. I can guarantee that. The stuff he talks about, we're going to comment on, just because it's kind of funny how BioWare overreacts to everything, and you'll see that in his
yes. I think that it's really interesting that Inquisition kind of, it felt like that was a huge emphasis where I felt like the overall narrative was weaker than dealing with the Order and the Templars and all that from the original. I didn't feel as invested.
Oh God, what they did with the Templars and the mages in this game is just the same with the second game. You can side with this one or that one. It's like, great, now what?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It needs that BioWare ideally would have relationship and romance nuance that would be reflective with also political decisions and like any decisions, just larger and larger rings of decisions that have consequences. And I understand it's really hard to develop an RPG with that, but I think it's still better than the format of doing the quests and stuff. Rift material, and it. I don't like the fade stuff. I like that you can have a mod to just skip all the fade stuff from the original, but like Inquisition, I felt like had more problems, is what I get into.
One of the things that we were very sensitive was the demos they showed at was it E3 a year before?
Yeah.
And they showed this time problem where it's like the village is being attacked in this part of the world, but we also have to go to another part of the world, and you only have the choice of going to one element. And I thought, oh my God, if they do that for this massive world, that's going to be insane. Like all the possibilities of branching paths based off time. And then you finally get an army, and you could send armies out to take care of problems. And like, that would have been brilliant. You would have like this micromanagement, third person, single player, semi MMO, open world game where all these elements are happening in real time. And you got to be careful. If you go to sleep for 8 hours because you're tired, like what's going to happen? So, but that never came into the gameplay, and I was really disappointed because that would have changed how we look at BioWare games. BioWare wouldn't just be doing a linear branching path narrative; they'd be doing a time-based location narrative where all the maps that you had to go to had all these like real AI running around doing stuff, and events are taking place, and you had to watch that. That would have been, I think, not revolutionary, but the next step up for what they've been trying to do. So,
well, funnily enough, they actually experimented with that in Awakenings, where you could send out your wardens from the keep to do missions. And then what they've done there is just basically give it a more live actionable in-engine approach, really. And that's all what they're doing. That's what they should have done. Remember, I used to play through the Neverwinter Nights 2. I know it's an Obsidian game, but it was still under BioWare. But like, people would be coming to you and kind of going, "We've got this problem. What do we do?" And then you send out your forces. But then the forces' ability is based upon how well trained they are, how well armored they are, and how well equipped they are. And you get a kind of summary in terms of whether you're killed, whether you're successful, whether you're partially successful. You've got an army. They need to be trained, armored, and armored. So yeah, but in this, it's just like that never happens. Everything's just done for you. You have zero control over your army. You're the leader, but you're not.
The war
I hate
map
that in games. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, the war map was really disappointing because it was like, oh, you could use your spy master to do this, you could use your army to do that, or your diplomat to do that, and it all resolves the same problem. Maybe one of them won't work sometimes, but it's pretty much, if you have enough points, you just get a different bonus or a different item. And you're like, that's not strategy. That's just, you're forcing a slot machine to give you apples or lemons. It's like, I don't care.
I think the problem is that this actually goes, like, this idea of you being unable to go to everywhere actually goes against BioWare's design philosophy. Like, they get really scared that people aren't going to be viewing that content. So they kind of go, "Oh, no, we can't do that. Because we've put so many hours into making this level, we need people to make sure they go to this level because we've put all this time and effort into it." So they get scared, and then you have to remove all your choices.
Which is
You know,
extremely
that is a
similar
really good point.
to Mass Effect, because what was it, 80 to 90% of all players played Paragon?
Yep.
Which
Yeah,
means,
exactly.
half the game of dialogue never happens for all those players. So,
And it's that has to do so much with like skewing gameplay decisions and moral decisions and trying to influence the player's story. I feel like Fallout New Vegas is one of my favorite examples of how the central plot hub or the climax that has to do with Yes Man and the battle at the end and who controls New Vegas and all that. There are many different choices that you can make, and each of them go in a different direction. And at any time you can go and initiate that quest as long as you have a couple of the prerequisites. But those stories don't have the same path, like narratively, as BioWare games have. And I think that that's one of the reasons why Obsidian hasn't been put on the same track, because BioWare is still putting you on a certain rail type situation so that you are evolving with the overall story as opposed to creating the story from the RPG perspective.
it's fascinating because the Obsidian games, those are open world. They are much more akin to modding than the BioWare games, whereas BioWare just has a bigger budget. And as you said, with choices, that's pretty much the fault of the Paragon Renegade system in Mass Effect, where, I'm going to be the good guy because it makes more sense. Or it's just more easily digestible for me to be nice in most scenarios than to me just to start shooting people. So there has to be a better choice system in BioWare games, and there has to be more gray areas. You can't. Then they forced that even in the first game, which was a mistake. So if you start off blue or red, you're going to have to end blue or red because there's no points enough. There's not enough points to do it, so you have to.
Yeah, I think. I'm sorry.
Go on.
So I was going to say that the problem with the Paragon on Renegade system is that there's no real consequence to Paragon, whereas I haven't played Jade Empire in a while, but they had the independence versus community approach. Like, who should help a person? Should it be them helping themselves so they can grow stronger, or should it be that the community should help this individual to then get stronger? Yeah. And with the first Mass Effect, I think they were going down with that similar ideology in terms of independent, stubborn spirit versus collectivism, basically. And it's like, and there should be a pro and con between each one of those. But then Mass Effect 2, it was just, well, you can choose to be a bit of a jerk. And it became a joke, basically. Like, you do it in your second playthrough, like, I'm going to shoot this guy for no apparent reason.
Right. 100%. Yeah.
And that's why in Dragon Age 2, as much as I deride that story, you get to be purple. And you get to that is the quintessential solution for BioWare. Be a goofy guy who sees everything as a joke, and he's not negative, he's not positive, he's sort of underhanded, like making cracks at everyone, and it's just for fun. And like, that's exactly what you needed to have. You needed to have this guy who's stuck in the middle of some town. He's like, to hell with this. I'm gonna flirt with that old woman right over there because I don't know, I'm facing a dragon next turn. Why not? It's just the silly sort of reactions that
I feel like that's part of the tabletop RPG we get from that. I feel like is for the direction that the games are always going in is more mainstream and more action oriented or whatever. I usually go to games like Fallout or what's that game, Tyranny or Planescape.
Love Tyranny.
Yeah, so sorry, I'm keep losing my train of thought. Those games that have lower graphical emphasis and less presentation stuff, where it's more about gameplay decisions and story can be told through text or whatever, because of that developmental curve, it's easier to produce that content. They can have more choices and decisions. So that's usually what I go for. But BioWare was really nice in that it had this nice presentation while also bringing you into the story. And so I feel like the unfortunate thing is that whether it was engine constraints or EA's demands or something, it started to get more and more typical gameplay cycles, and then getting people to play based on the shock and awe value of certain relationship aspects. I know that I'm missing a lot of stuff because the story is obviously still interesting to people, but I felt when I was playing Inquisition that it wasn't nearly as engrossing. So it was harder for me to fall back on the typical BioWare tropes that I go for because I didn't feel like I was getting that as much. But that started for me in Mass Effect 3, I would say. So it's not like I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, I think that goes into BioWare's shift and focus when, like, say, you're talking about going into more mainstream, the mainstream appeal. Because obviously with ME3, they willingly said that they wanted, well, actually it was Dragon Age 2 when they said they wanted a Call of Duty sword. And with that kind of mindset, they were going for more these set-piece action sequences. Like, you look at Mass Effect 3, it's filled to the brim with useless, like, the motion capture fight scene between the alien with COPD and the Raiden from flipping Metal Gear, to the big alien space worm fight against the big Reaper thing. It's like you have no control or influence over how those actions actually play out. You just sat there watching, and you're like 11, like, yeah, this is cool. It's a cutscene in an RPG.
Especially that gun turret, which literally does nothing. You could have just sat there and watched the cutscene play out. You're like, yep.
Well, that was actually them. I think they actually ran out of budget for that specific sequence because they showed it off at the demo. They're like, wow, this is going to be an amazing... Like, you're going to be firing at weak points while, like, the Normandy and things are going to be hitting. It's like, no, it just ends. You get out and you roll around on the sand for a little bit. Whoop-de-doo. And that's it. It's like, you can definitely see that BioWare don't have the budget of, let's say, Epic, but they're trying to compete with Epic. You know, it's like someone like me trying to compete with Usain Bolt. Yeah, I can run 100 meters, but I ain't going to get there as fast as him.
And you see that through all the BioWare games where it's like an idea and they just got the basic done. It's like, oh, we can use that. And there's no nuance, or it's a fetch quest, or, you know, let's go collect some old lady's ring because the world is huge, and we have to save the world. But yeah, we should go collect some herbs and elf fruit and mine some ore.
So much.
You know, the leader of an army is doing all his grunt work. Like, this does not make too much sense.
I do like it in Inquisition where it's like, you're the one that's been leading us. Yeah, that's because I'm the one in control. That's controlling the party at the moment, not because I'm actually doing leadership stuff. It's just, here, protagonist. Here, advanced plot now, item. Blunk.
Mm-hmm. It's such a game, and that's the problem.
It was just so video gamey, as Katie Hudson would like to say.
Too much focus on the big epic and green light and stuff. Like, that's not what we're here for.
Well, that also passed down into Andromeda, but in the wrong direction. So it's like, oh, you still have to collect elf root or silicon or whatever the hell it is. But now,
lithium, I think it was.
Yeah, all the changes are, you can't make any change. There's no political influence. Let's build a science base or a military. It's like, there's no difference. It doesn't affect anything. Why even have that choice? So having ineffective choices for the sake of it is just, that would piss me off.
I think they do that with they were actually advertising the keep system, weren't they, in Inquisition?
Yes.
And they just dropped it. It only happened like once. They were like, where did this? They just went, oh, it didn't happen.
You can get keeps, but that's it. They don't.
You can get a keep.
Yes.
Strongholds. I don't think they finished the game. I think that was part of the controversy when it came out.
Yeah.
Anywho,
there was lots of. Sorry, yeah.
Let's just keep going.
We'll be here for ages.
That punk Hawk works for your ass. Yes, even fan favorite Morgan shows up and defers to your judgment on major decisions.
Fool. You'd let your people's legacy rot in the shadows.
Enough.
You cannot honestly...
I said enough.
Now, in comparison, one could argue that Dragon Age Origins has a slightly better story because of its companions and its writing. But this storyline is also incredibly high stakes and interesting.
Okay, high stakes.
Really.
There's two things that happen in the world, and one of them gets resolved rather quickly, as we said before. The hole in the sky gets solved within, I think, the first 2 hours.
Yep.
And we don't know what Corypheus actually wants to do for the rest of the game, aside from squash you like a bug.
That's one of my biggest problems.
Yeah.
Why didn't you do something with that?
Well, here's the thing, though, right? Corypheus went into the Fade, into the Black Sea. He found it was empty, so he's like, he knows it's barren. What's his plan now? Yeah, I'm going to enter into that big black barren place I know nothing exists that actually cursed me and blighted the world. Yeah, I'm going to enter there. No.
Yeah, what's the point of that?
Yeah, it's why
Go
would you
ahead.
want to do that?
Go right ahead, sir. Here, let me open the fade for you. Off you go. Have a great time. Bye.
So it's like, why, if you're adding someone like Corypheus, who's a Darkspawn, why aren't you a warden? Like, that would be the best foil for a warden, because you've got an antagonist who can potentially control you and influence. How amazing would that be? Like, that is literally indoctrination right then and there, isn't it?
Why didn't they do that?
Well,
Yeah.
the reason why, I think, is they wanted the people to be able to play as a female Canary mage. That was the big thing. So
Oh no.
So they had to invent
Okay.
character creation that allows you to do that. And that was like, that's like, they do things because the fans want it and they don't think about the bigger picture. And you see that with level design, quest design, every game mechanic, even blacksmithing. Like when you get a master blacksmith with a master kit to do anything, and you get like one of the best armor in the game is the armor of the dead, which is like what the wardens or the dwarves use in the deep roads. It's like, awesome. I can't wait to wear that. It's like, no, you can't. You're not a dwarf. It's like, but I have a blacksmith. He can resize stuff. You know, he can make things for me. It's like, no, you can't. Like, why? What's the point? I have to replay the game with a dwarf now? Like, are you kidding me? So.
Oh yeah, I hate that.
I remember actually when you were defending your first, what was the Haven? That was it.
That was the best part of the game, right there, Haven.
But when you go around and you have to save all the other people, like, you know, the Black Lady Smith, the Smith was a lady, sorry, and a few other people as well. It's like you save all those people, then you get to Skyhold. It's like, oh yeah, those people are just completely irrelevant now because we got replacements for them in case you didn't do it. It's just like, what's the point of me saving these people? They're just going to get replaced. I don't get anything for it.
What a strange thing where the sub base you get, which is from, it's kind of like a reimagination of what was Haven was in Dragon Age Origins. And you're like, oh, great, wow. And it's so much more exciting because you're actually getting attacked by Corypheus. In Skyhold, you have this amazing, huge castle, and you don't use it. You just sit there. No one attacks you. No one comes near you. You just sit on your throne and run around and get lost half the time.
You upgrade it, and it never gets attacked. Thanks, Pyle. Thanks for making me do all that effort for nothing. Crossroad Keep in Neverwinter Nights 2 gets attacked. The Keep in Awakening gets attacked. A Keep in Dragon Age Inquisition? No, not once.
I think it was Redcliffe that gets attacked, right? I think.
Yeah. Redcliffe.
Anyway, here's a super chat from Mark Jamison. Thank you, sir. Have you guys considered reviewing Pathfinder Kingmaker now that most of the bugs have been knocked out? You know what? I absolutely love that game. The problem is it takes a year to play. It's gigantic. And every time I sit down, it takes me 3 hours, and I forget where I came from. I played it a month later or whatever. It's so big, and there's this one hidden path of the storyline where you have to actually save, I can't remember her name, the fairy trickster who confuses you and ends up becoming your enemy. And there's a way to save her. I still want to go through the game just to go through that path, but it's going to take me like 100 and whatever hours. So I would love to play that game. I'm actually halfway through my current play, which I stopped playing last year, and I have a full team of, I don't know if they're summoners, but they're basically wolf leaders. They're inquisitors, and they control wolves. So I have an army of wolves. Like everyone gets like 4 wolves each or 2 wolves. So I have like just like 20 units on the field. It's ridiculous. Everyone gets swarmed. Everyone's an archer, and just like you're just picking people off. All these wolves tear you to pieces. It's amazing, but it takes a while to play, and it's just gigantic. Like you literally make paths on the map. You walk around, and it's so slow. So I might consider going back to the game. Yes, they fixed a lot of bugs, and they're making the second game. I'm following was it Wrath of the Righteous or their next Kickstarter, which is just going to be even bigger. So maybe by the time that game comes out, I'll be finished playing my second playthrough of Pathfinder. I don't know, but that is a hardcore Western RPG made by, I think, Russians, or is it Polish? It's pretty heavy duty. Love it. Narissa, you got it. Thank you. Thank you, Powell. Fantastic game, but just gigantic.
Maybe because I've actually read all the lore books and know the stories about the Magisters, the elven gods, and all that bullshit. Though I admit it's pretty easy to get lost if you don't set aside some time to read stuff that you've collected, my lord.
The chosen of Andraste, the blessed heroes sent to save us all.
Am I riding in on a shining steed?
I would have suggested a griffon, but sadly they're extinct. Joke as you will, posturing is necessary.
You'll start by creating either a male or female version of a human, elf, dwarf, or
This is
Quinari.
actually one of the things I wish that if they took down the warden route in terms of you being the warden trying to restore the Grey Warden Order to its full strength. Because you look back in the past and like you kind of go, okay, people die when they go through the joining process. So there's going to be a percentage. But if you look back in the past, there's potentially thousands of wardens laying around. You can't hide that amount of bodies. So it's like, why didn't we just say that the process of making a warden was safer back then? But obviously, as time's gone on, it's become harder to reproduce. So more and more people will die. That's why they've become more and more secretive. And your quest is to try and restore that. And Corypheus is trying to corrupt that. Ta-da! You know?
Yeah, they made it too generic. You're just some guy who gets captured, who loses his memory, and has a magical hand that closes rifts for some reason. That's the whole mystery of the game. Like, who is this guy? What are you doing? I don't know. You're just a merc.
His memory actually got blown out of his head. Like, how does... Okay.
Then you have, what's her name? Cassandra shibariing you up into the cells. Do we kill him? It's like, would you just chill, Cassandra? Would you want some answers? Oh, fine.
You then choose between the types, rogue, warrior, or the powerful mage. Now, I spent a ton of extra time crafting my character as I knew he would be central to the cutscenes. And it's not the most extensive character creation system, but it's...
All you do is choose a mage, and then you specialize in Knight Enchanter, and you break the game. That's it. That's the whole thing. Literally, the Knight Enchanter has a revive spell as the ultimate, and he has an attack which generates shields. So you're just constantly attacking, and you never die. So you have them. What's her name? I can't remember her name. The black
Vivian.
There we go. She's also a Knight Enchanter, so you have two of them. Then you have Cassandra as your tank, and then you have Varric as your thief. You can go through the entire game. That's all. That's all you need.
It's definitely acceptable. I mean, people have been able to make pretty damn good Daenerys.
This is true. They look really good.
I didn't know you were awake, but I swear. It's all that anyone has talked about for the last 3 days.
And BioWare continues...
So that was pre-Andromeda. Same engine, but holy crap, what a jump in face quality. Or whatever you call models for importing into that engine. It's like, wow.
I think with Andromeda, they didn't know how to scale it across the engine itself, so they didn't have a basis because they didn't know how large the game was going to be. Well, they said that how large the game is going to be, about the size of a galaxy. And you're like, okay, that's pretty big, you know.
Yeah, I think they were rushing with importing all those models. Like, do we make it look good? It's like, nah. Don't worry. We don't need people to be attracted to their main character that they could customize. And I haven't seen one really good looking one. They all the male and female riders just do not look good at all.
What was the other one now that I heard in that thing where like they changed from 3ds Max to Maya halfway through and just like, oh, you lovely people doing that. That's all.
Yeah, all the modelers are like, are you kidding me?
Like, hey, all this work of animation that we did, yeah, you're going to have to redo it now.
From scratch. I don't know if you could import models from Maya to Softimage or ZBrush. I don't think that's... Maybe there's a converter out there, but when I was doing it, you couldn't do it. You had to start from scratch.
to be inclusive of people of all types. There are so many bisexual, homosexual, and other sexual characters, it's hard to keep straight. No pun intended.
I like your quarters. Do you into mutual?
You know, this thing's going to get demonetized within 5 seconds.
Yeah, I know.
The romance paths are there if you so choose to take them. Some pretty funny ones, too.
No Inquisition. No war. Nothing outside this room. Just you and me. So,
Freddie Prinze Jr. Yay!
Sorry to disturb your rest, Inquisitor, but our oh, sweet maker.
Cullen, how's it going?
Is the Inquisitor awake? I thought perhaps we...
Is something the matter? Ah!
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Do you see this?
No.
This time around, you're able to recruit up to 9 companions.
I'll give him that one.
That is a fuck ton of dialogue, and for the most part, the voice acting is done at a really high quality. Now, I'm mostly stuck to Iron.
Except for I actually like Blackwell one of the best, just because he was the gruff warden stereotype. It's like, oh, I get a warden, awesome. Why can't I ask for warden help? And it never happens.
Yeah.
Iron Bull, my romance choice Cassandra, and Dorian. Even though Dorian can tend to break the game with his necromancy. As enemies stay alive, the next part of the level just like refuses to load. I had to swap him out with Vivian when it got too annoying or buggy. Now, Dragon Age really seems to reach for diversity with its cast this time around, and I'd say it's about the second best cast after Dragon Age Origins, but better than Dragon Age 2.
I can't believe you shaved that in.
Oh dear. Okay, Sarah is definitely the low point of everything in the game.
I would just skip this bit because this bit does actually go on. But it's like, yes! Prepare to fast forward. Fast forward.
Yeah, just skip. Okay.
Like Dragon Age 2 that reuses and recycles
There's only so much cringe
many
it can
of its
handle in a day.
areas. Here, you will travel to a fantastic variety of locations that really help flesh out the Dragon Age universe like never before. Orlay's capital, Val Royeaux, the lush green forests of the hinterlands
beautiful,
in
all beautiful.
Ferelden, which is supposedly as big as the
Frostbite's
original
very
game.
good for making large levels.
The coast
That's what
of the
BioWare
Iron
chose it for.
Coast, the snow,
Nothing else, though.
wide open deserts. I mean, there are about 12 of these fully explorable, wide open locations in this game. And each new area you unlock, Scout Harding will give you an overview. Scout Harding.
The desert is immeasurably more precious with you in it, Scout Harding.
When did you come up with that one?
Ah, Liara.
I had some time along the way.
I wish I could romance that one. Anyway, it's easier to manage and collect and do everything in one of these locations before moving on to the next if you're so inclined to be a completionist. Now, there are also several more mini locations that open up temporarily, mostly for companion side quests. It's simply the biggest and most full Dragon Age yet. And one where you could easily run into an area that you aren't supposed to be in yet, seeing a dragon and a giant fighting it out on their own, and then getting smashed into paste for getting too close too early. I love it. I like it a lot.
Holy shit. That is fucking awesome. Let's do this shit. Oh, he's fucking
That was
taking off.
scripted event, so.
Oh, fucking wrong! Oh, AngryJoe, no! What the fuck? The fuck did he go? Holy shit, I didn't know giants could fucking jump that far. Get him. Bring him down. AngryJoe on a Cassandra! Oh. What the? Holy fuck! Run! Oh my god. That was awesome.
In addition to all this, BioWare has included many fun distractions to discover littered all throughout, like beautiful and captivating bard songs to collect and listen to.
I didn't know you. I can't remember if you collected them. I thought they were random, but they added nothing to anything. They were just things to collect. So it could have been shields on the wall for all I care. But in regards to the levels, like that was the reaction to Dragon Age 2's reuse levels. So people complained about, oh, this is a repetitive level, or this is the same asset swap. So they decided to just create this gigantic world that everyone was going to be part of. There's going to be like respawning enemies. You would change the habitat, like bears. That was one of the things in the demo. If you kill too many bears, they won't spawn anymore. And nope, didn't do that. Too much time, too much effort. So they always bite off more than they can chew. They always do too much. And they overcompensate because people complained.
It's like the same thing that happened with Mass Effect, actually, when that thing was in its early stages, because they were like, right, we're going to have a procedurally generated galaxy, and we're going to have an online system. And then they were like, okay, now what engine do we want to use for it? And it's like, well, you can't really use any engine that's off the market to really be doing that. I mean, I know they chose Unreal, but that came with massive restrictions because they wanted to make the game look pretty. Because Unreal at the time, like 2004, was actually one of the most cutting-edge engines at the time. And it's like all their ideas have to get thrown out to the side because they just won't work, or they'll break something inside that. So it's their ideas, and then you have reality. And so you have Mike Laidlaw has all these brilliant ideas, and he would love to just have his own proprietary engine, just make their own engine just to do the stuff that they want to do. And then BioWare's managers going like, no, here's the engine that you get given.
I really think if they had Inquisition or even Andromeda use Unreal, they would have been able to facilitate a lot of those designs a lot faster. And not saying that, you can't use Frostbite, but it's just the time and effort to put into learning it and actually adapting all the things you want to do, like dynamic levels and pre-rendered stuff. So it's always like, what do you have right now? Who are your assets? Who's your talent? What are they good at? If you take away their tools, they're like, you may as well just hire a whole bunch of new guys. So this is the problem with BioWare. They want to, they take their marching orders from themselves. EA gives them a guidebook, and they just say, okay, let's try this. European engine called from DICE, and let's give it a shot. And it just takes them years and years to make basic. Was it car physics? I can't remember.
Yeah, because they didn't. It was built for Battlefield, and then somebody at EA had a directive to say, let's try to apply this to everything, because then we'll only have to pay for one engine. We won't have to pay any fees for licenses or whatever, or hire different people to work on it. We can just have one unified system. And they made a bunch of mediocre games out of good franchises. It's really disappointing because they used this clunky engine that isn't very good. And it's funny because DICE, the Refractor engine that they used before Frostbite, was not made by them. They bought it. So Frostbite was the first engine that they made, and then EA mainlined that. I guess made it the priority for everything, and over time just phased out everything else until Respawn came in and started making Unreal Engine games, and it started to come back around because people realized that you can't just use it. There's no one-size-fits-all solution for video games.
Yeah. I think when they're going for that process, it's like everyone thinks that EA forced them. It's like EA probably offered them incentives to kind of go, yeah, you have to do this. We'll have the team at DICE ready to available for you. But it's just like BioWare doesn't bring the double-digit sales figures, so they're not going to get as much attention. That's something that BioWare's executives should have realized. Like, they're not. I hate to say this, but they're not that popular in the grand macrocosm of the gaming sphere. The best-selling game was Mass Effect 2, which sold 7 million copies. They've never reached that ever again. So they're not a double-digiter. So they should have kind of go, well, maybe we could explore with Frostbite, maybe in the future game. But we shouldn't be, diving feet first into this thing and go, yeah, let's do it. Because there's a lot of things that you have to understand about this engine. And it's the same thing it's the exact same problem that they had when they got Unreal. Because Unreal, when they got it in 2004, it was only designed for shooters and shooters alone. No one else was making any other games with it. So BioWare just seemingly don't learn from the past. I mean, if you really want to have a laugh, look what they did with the Hero engine. I mean, they bought that thing when it was still in pre-alpha version. Oh, let's make a game with this.
All these songs are beautiful, like they're lovely, but they're not connected to anything.
No lip sync though on the voice actress though, on the model side.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
The best one is the Nightingale songs. It talks about the character, Liliana.
You know what would have been interesting
Astrarium.
is if, let's say, you visited different lands and then there's different songs about you of what you did, like how you accomplished things.
Oh, you'd have the propaganda machine from Liliana doing the spy craft, and then you have the bards traveling around and just influencing all the people. That'd be great. Yeah, war. Wow. Yeah. The songs of heroes from the Inquisition. They're good guys. They like you. They're holy. Love them. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, great. Do that. But, you know, it's just a prize to win. It's just another collectible.
You could even do like a Hot Shots Part 2 where it's like, whoa, it's fantastic.
That have you connect the dots for stars in the sky.
I hate this thing.
Was that the Asterium? Or it's called? Asterium?
Okay, magic screen, let's.
Is he making a joke about it? Oh, jeez.
Skulls that locate mysterious shards that open up ancient doors and
I hate those.
acquiring agents out
you have
in
to
the
look
world
for
who will
them,
join
and
your
then you have
cause
to go and find
back
them.
at the castle, providing a buff or a bonus.
This is when they played too much Skyrim, and we can do Skyrim. It's like, no, don't even try, please don't. These are so optional and time consuming, and just annoying. They have nothing to do with it. Just why would you put this crap in there? And we don't know why.
And there's investigations, there's a few puzzles, there's wildlife hunting each other, there's area changing weather, those
Wildlife
lightning
hunting each
strikes.
other? When did that happen outside of set piece sequences?
Yeah, and
that
they just
never happens
respawn.
at all.
If they kill something, they get respawned after a day or so.
Well, you just reload the game again.
Yeah.
And it's simple.
They're all icing on this cake and help make this world feel alive.
That's what I mean. The icing is like 80% of the game. Okay, it's like this big hunk of icing, which is completely avoidable.
Do you like diabetes? Well, this is how you're gonna get it. Gaming diabetes.
Interesting. And as if that wasn't enough, they've also included meaningful crafting for
Meaningful? No, there's not. There's no meaningful crafting in the game. I'm sorry.
The crafting system's all right.
It's passable, but it's not meaningful. As I
mean,
said, you can't make the things you want to make. It's like I have all these plans. I have all the resources. I have this master blacksmith. I can't do anything because I'm the wrong race.
Yeah. I think the problem is just the context of it all. Like, once again, Neverwinter Nights 2 is like, you are the lead, you are the Lord of Crossroads Keep, and you'll find like deposits of ores and things like that, but you just kind of mark it so your miners and your other prospectors, they do all the stuff. Instead in this one, it's like you're the one walking around with a pickaxe and a mining tool. It's like, why am I doing this? I'm a leader. Why am I doing all this silly work?
And one thing I would have loved to have seen is when you get better gear, you pass it off to your army. It's like, hey, I'm using this shield for past hour. This is going to be great. I'll make you a lieutenant, and you're going to be in charge of that army group. Your stats are going to go way up, and the game should have been. You have armies, give them your magical, awesome gear that you don't want to use it because you have all this stuff, you have all this gear that you don't even use because you're in the wrong class, and your guys you barely use. Let them use it. Have that be part of some sort of end game scenario within Dragon Age Origins where you have to call in the elves because you saved them. It's this is gonna be awesome. That would be great. You see your elf decked out in like the army of the dead armor. It's like, oh yeah, it's gonna be sweet. Nope, can't do that. Can't do basic stuff. Even though I have all the equipment, I have all the resources, all the people. No, it's just 4 guys against the dragon again and again and again.
armor and weapons. You can use the metals and materials that you scavenge in the world and you see located out there using your search function to modify your arsenal, even changing their color depending on the types of materials.
I miss the was it all the cool runes you got in the first game where your sword is on fire or it's lightning and it just sits in your scabbard just on fire. You're like, what the holy crap. And this one is just sort of it's there. It's nice as a stat booster. Like, okay.
you use. It is incredibly rewarding to make a badass weapon that has higher stats than anything that you've seen in the game, even at those super expensive shops. It's just a damn shame that there's not enough armor sets, in my opinion, to make you look different throughout your journey. I mean, you might be stuck with one for half of the game.
That's true.
Boring.
Yeah, like those DLC, like those $5 DLCs for like a shield or something they were selling before the game was released. A falchion, I think, and some weird golden shield, which was like really good for the first 10 levels. You're like, I don't know why BioWare does that. They all these stupid things like helmets and bullshit.
Well, what was interesting is that I think in the first Dragon Age, even though everyone was like, oh, they did it there, it's like, no, they didn't, because the Blood Dragon armor had to have like a strength stat of like 28 to wear it, 27 to 28. So you had to basically put Alistair, every time you leveled up, into strength for like the next 6 levels straight to get that armor. And I was like, well, they did it in that. I was like, no, they didn't, because you had to put strength, you had to ignore everything to get that armor on him, and that was it. And they could have done the same. It's like, yeah, this is armor, which is good for this tier. There you go, solved it.
I was hoping for MMO skills associated with the armor. It's like, oh, this will do an extra, but it's just stats essentially. So there's nothing skill based. Like Final Fantasy IX, you'd equip a lower quality weapon, but you could unlock a skill with it, and you can keep that skill. That's what I was like. Some reason to hold on to crap and master it, and then transfer it over. So no, nothing like that.
No.
At least I was stuck with one. And yes, you can equip your party members with new armors and modify them. Thank God, and because Dragon Age 2 didn't have that shit. Now, the central mechanic here is that you'll be building up your new Inquisition in order to deal with the threat of the demon invasion.
I wish I could control my army as this leader. That would be fantastic.
This looks awkward.
You're all walking around with their swords open. Like, why? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Put them in their scabbard, buddy.
Yeah, put your shield on your back, man. Your arm's going to be knackered by the end of that. But this is the thing, though. It's just that you have no control over the look or the design or the training of your forces. It's all just done for... I hate the look of these Inquisitions. Like, what is that on the top of their head? I would not have... You know, like, what are you gonna do? Headbutt someone? Are we gonna ram them? Are we bulls?
Right.
You know,
is that the seeker symbol? It was an eyeball.
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, but I thought we're going for the Order of the Inquisition, which is something else. We're not seekers.
Yeah, the whole concept of the Inquisition was never really fleshed out, and there was no real Inquisition. Like when we think of an Inquisition, we think of hunting down heretics, finding out whether they're faithful to the church or not. And this was like, oh, I'm a magical guy, or I'm a guy with a magical arm, and I'm going to stop the demons from opening up the gate. Oh, the gate's closed. Okay, done. We don't need the Inquisition anymore. So there's no concern. There's no thrust to do something. There's no big problem of the world. It's just Corypheus is faffing about, and we don't know what he's up to. Oh, he's attacking us now for some. Oh, we're running away now. Oh, we found a castle. And it's completely free. Okay, well, I guess we'll take it. Still waiting for Corypheus. Let's get some elf fruit and I don't know. Oh, attend a ball where we do much of nothing and dance around. That was probably my most disappointing part of the game, was the trip to Orlais. Oh God, they could have done so much with that. What do? You collect coins, Caprice coins, so you get better gifts at the end. I was like, what? Come on.
I think this is the problem. Like, they want to have everything. Like, they want to be like your average run-of-the-mill adventurer, but at the same time, they want you to be this high lord, high king kind of thing. It's like, no, either you're a mercenary or you're a king or queen. You know, like Geralt of Rivia, he's just a witcher. He can influence certain people, but he's not going to influence the emperor. He's not going to be the emperor. He's just a witcher at the end of the day. Yeah, he has certain control over only certain aspects, but people can override him. He has a limitation to it all. Whereas this one, it's like you're finding Mrs. Miggins' ring that's only 5 feet away from the stupid woman because she's goddamn too lazy to get out of a flipping hut. But at the same time, you're this important guy who's like doing these world-changing events. It's like, no, you can't do both. You just no.
It's like with Dragon Age, with Mass Effect, Shepard in the first game was a Spectre. He had carte blanche to do what he liked. Similar to Dragon Age Origins, where you were a warden and you were like, nope, time of war, I'm in charge. Sorry, we're coming in.
Yep.
So that was fine. But now you have to switch it up. You have to do something different. You could have had another warden declare an inquisition, I guess, and he could have been the leader. It could have been the same warden from the first game. That would have been amazing. But we got a new character because we needed a new character. And yay.
Yeah. And you're not, once again, as we said, you're not really finding anything out. You're just kind of going, well, what do we do now? Well, I guess we have to go to All A. It's because we know where Carithus is going to end up. The big terror in the sky. We just need to have a guy with a pair of binoculars going, oh, is there now? That's it. Yeah. So you're not like, if they went down the route of like hunting demons or exercising them and demons influencing people, everyone's just going chaos. That would have been far more
That would have been awesome to turn the Templars into Inquisitors, and they would have sought out mages and slaughtered them or whatever, and you would have control over how they do that, whether they're brutal, whether they're kind, whether they have the middle-of-the-road options. There's so many things to do when you play around with religious concepts and actual magic, because we know how sophisticated the story of Dragon Age Origins was with magic. There were political factions in one tower of the whole land that they splintered. Imagine we had that at the end of Inquisition. You had factions of your army that were political, and they were like, oh, we are the Puritans, we're the religious types, we're the ones who are pro-mage, like all these little factions that would have been following you or wanted to make their own power, because obviously there's a power vacuum as soon as you leave. Like that would have been a natural progression of the story of what an Inquisition would be. But because we don't really have much authority, we're just this emergency group, like someone's ringing the bell for militia, and it's just a really big problem, and then the problem goes away. And you're like, okay.
We're basically FEMA. By the time everything's solved, we have our things ready to go. But I think the problem is that did anyone remember the playthrough? If you play through a mage in Origins and you die, you know what? Actually, if you put Alistair as king, you know what actually happens to the mages? He grants them autonomy, so they don't have to have this. So they don't have to have the Templars, which means the Chantry holds no power over everyone. A king of a land can go, no, this is how I want the mages to be ruled. Get out. So the Mage Rebellion War could have been solved if people would just appeal themselves to the ruling class. Solved it.
Which kind of invalidates Dragon Age 2, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I just don't get it. Like, the Inquisition should have basically been like a Spectre, like kind of thing. Like, you're trying to build alliances, you're trying to get lords, fiefdoms, and all these other groups pulling together so you have an actual army to fight or combat this thing. Like, I would actually have you in charge of an army, per se. I just have you as just being an investigator of, like, what you're trying to solve, really. And then you have this other that maybe you're following the person that's either creating or solving these rifts. That would be interesting.
See, it sounds like a closer facsimile to Suikoden, because Suikoden, you get all these specialized, like, you get 108 guys you have to collect. You don't have to collect them all, but you can get a detective. You can get a dragon rider. You can get a woman who washes your clothes. You can get all these random guys, and you'll need them in certain plot points. But that's kind of the cool thing. You have all these specialists. Whereas with Inquisition, you get, oh, he's the fake warden. Oh, he's a military leader, merc group. She's an influential person in Orlais. High enchanter. What the hell's a high enchanter on our team for? Like, all these strange things happen, and you're like, why are you here? What are you doing? I mean, I like it, but why? Tell me why. Like Sarah. Oh, why are you here, Sarah? Please give me an excuse. I want any excuse aside from you're bored. So character motivations is kind of important. And when you don't have a good villain, to forge the hero in a certain reason or a certain direction, you get a lot of faffing about on both sides. So
I think, well, I don't understand how Vivian can just roam outside the tower. I thought mages were like feared. Like there's a mage rebellion war going on, like chaos growing across the land, and Vivian's just like, yeah, I'm a mage. You know, it's cool. No one cares about me. I'm not going to get my head poked by an arrow. Yes, you would, lady. You would.
I'm high enchanter. Like, oh, okay. We'll kill you last then. Oh, okay.
And the Mage Rebellion War isn't actually that much of a war. It's more of a skirmish because the amount of mages that exist isn't actually that many. So the amount of people needed to govern them wouldn't be that many either. So it'd just be more of a skirmish. Like you look at just the mage one, there's like the one tower in Ferelden. It's like that's only one tower. And like, okay. It's like, what, 90 dudes? Oh, it's a war across the land. What, 90 dudes are causing all this trouble? Jesus, what are they made of?
Yeah, where are these towers? I wanted another mage tower to explore. That would have been awesome.
Right?
Yeah. A normal one, as opposed to... Well, actually, the first one was pretty cool. But let's see how it normally works. How does this fine balance between mages and the community work? Let's see it. She's a high enchanter. What's his name was a high enchanter? She must be in control of mages. No, it's just a community thing. No one cares. No big deal. It's like, really?
I'm trying to actually find the article, but it actually says that the breach was opened and more people became mages, and that was the problem.
Okay.
Like everyone got granted. Yeah, because the breach opened and all this crazy stuff started happening, and mages started to get like basically Super Saiyan, and everyone got like even more crazy, and people started gaining like weird and wonderful powers.
Oh yeah, the retcon of the red lyrium. Like,
yeah,
we have a little dagger drives people insane even coming near it. Then you got like red lyrium coming out of the ground in like 2-meter chunks. You're like, that's fine, just walk around it. Okay.
But that was more along the lines of, because I honestly thought it was the Tevinter gods coming back, or like the elven gods coming back, and boy was I wrong.
Yeah, you know? BioWare, great job there with the elven gods. It was fantastic. Great reveal.
What was that? Was it Lady Ash? Like her predictions
Lady
were
Ash,
so
please.
wrong.
Oh.
Her predictions were so wrong. It's like, here's what actually happened, and 6 miles to west is what she predicted, and that's how far away she was from the mark. You know?
Yeah, the super fans. I think this channel, I just realized our channel is dedicated to bashing fanboys, whether we like it or not. You could be a fanboy of any genre, any medium. We're gonna listen to you, and we're gonna take some swings. So that's just how it goes on this channel.
Flameth's going to be an antagonist. No. She's actually the good guy. She's actually saving you for your own destruction.
Kate Mulgrew loves you for some reason. We have no idea. And she turns hot. Like, what? How did this happen? Like, what was she like?
Thanks, Dragon Age 2.
Was she goofing around the entire first game? Like, I'm an old woman. It's like, nope, I'm a sexy old woman. It's like, what the hell is going on?
I know she can shapeshift, but I didn't know she was the
that's some
the
serious
sorceress from
shapeshifting
Final
there,
Fantasy
yeah.
VIII. Good lord, woman. You know.
But what's cool is, in addition to straight up combat, there's also hints of political gameplay.
No, there isn't.
You have agents, in addition to the companions, right? The 9 companions. But in these agents you send out on various missions in the war room. And these can bring back valuable resources.
They're all optional. No one cares.
Sources,
It's
influence,
like,
or even...
You can go out and send your soldiers out to get some gold. It's like 128 gold. So you can do that just by bopping around, or they can get some minerals. It's like you can do that en route, exploring that region specifically. So there's no point in sending guys out there. And it's on a timer, which makes it weird because some of the timers are like 72 hours, some are 15 minutes, and it gets ridiculous. You can honestly tell, like, we're trying to do a monetary system with this, but you can abuse it because you can just literally reset your clock on your computer. That's what I did. So it takes 72 hours to complete. I basically put my computer forward a week, loaded up the game, completed it, set it back again.
To be fair, there are some plot relevant missions you have to achieve first, and then you can open up other ones. So, I mean, if everyone was like that, great. But it's all just, hey, it's a fetch quest, but you don't actually do the fetching. It's just a text on the screen. 24 hours later or whatever. It's just like, okay, it's something. It's like, I'm going to read a book, or I'm going to read a page of a book tomorrow. It's like, oh, okay. Great story.
Unique weapons and armor as you deal with the various factions reacting to your presence.
See, I wanted this to be a real-time map that you would send stuff out.
You know what? Right. Neverwinter Nights 2, Storm of the Air. They did a real-time map of the sword that you could buff around in, and you would see patrols of soldiers going around and monster encounters. It was kind of like Final Fantasy when you go around the open world and you have like those encounters. It's like, that's what they needed to do. Simple, you load into a level, you have a little fight in this little arena battle, you go up again, you go around the open world, and you go zippity boppity boo, I'm going to LA.
This is the same argument I had with Mass Effect 3. Your scale is the galaxy. You can't be running around in third-person mode all the time shooting a Reaper with a gun. You need to scale down. You have to scale up. You have to go macro. You have to go as far as you can go and command legions or fleets or whatever. That would have made more sense. But they can't do that because their core base is a third-person shooter audience. So instead of making Mass Effect 3 Tactics or Mass Effect 3 RTS, they just keep the same style of game when the scale has clearly been increased. And when you have an army, even in a medieval setting, you have an army. Where is it? What are they doing? And we never get that feeling of we're in command of an army, aside from when they have the last battle, I guess, and it's
Grey Warden. Keep attacking.
Yeah, that was
You have no control.
Kind of.
We've got trebuchets. Where did we get trebuchets?
Where did those go? Yeah, we just have all this equipment now. No story behind it.
Hey Smud, sorry, I gotta run and take care of something right now, and that's come up. But
sure.
UDP, it was nice to meet you. Sorry, I couldn't stick around. This was really interesting because I am a little more casual than you guys, so it was interesting to hear all the ideas, especially the stuff about bringing wardens and changing up how the factions would work in DAI. So anyway, it was really cool, and I'll try and listen and catch on when I'm doing my thing, but I gotta take care of something that just came up. So
all right, Glib.
See you guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for tolerating.
Yeah, we could talk on for hours about this, and I understand that not everyone would appreciate it, and they get kind of bored. That's totally fine. Totally cool. But I don't know, maybe this is our yearly catharsis with BioWare. It's like, okay, Dragon Age, let's do it.
Oh, I think was it when we were talking about with the upcoming Dragon Age 4 as well. Like, we had no idea what's going on.
No one has any information, no.
No, we know that it's going to be multiplayer though.
Oh dear.
It's going to be. I think that's what they were saying. I think they originally said that it was going to be using the source code from Anthem.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's again. This is all nice to know. It's like good stuff, but we really don't know what's going on. There's no information. There's no news. So.
But
yeah.
I'm just thinking about if they're using the source code from Anthem, but aren't they rebuilding Anthem from the ground up? So it's like, so you're using the source code that you're rebuilding at the same time? Sure, BioWare.
Bravo. I'm sure they'll have only 5 more years left. It's great.
Jeez.
You can set to clear out bandits and enemy factions from fortifications, quarries, mills, and other important strategic resources to claim them for your own.
I do like the art
which
style
will
of the
then
cards. I
allow
love
you to
all the
upgrade
artwork
and
there.
Customize your castle at Skyhold to your liking. It is a cool mechanic that helps extend the game's length.
See, to me, that's a negative. Extending the game's length is not a positive. I want a tight, concise narrative with very good gameplay, not, hey, this will take you 24 hours to do. Like, what? No.
I think if, let's say, I'm trying to actually think about this in a context that would work, but if, let's say, that you were the one hosting a ball or something like that, it's like, what kind of decorations that you want to do that would appeal to that particular fact, you know? And that's why you'd have to go around and kind of go, yeah, let's say you have people from Ferelden, they want something different. Let's say the people from Orlais, you know, so you're having to import bunting, massive amounts of bunting from across the way. That'd be cool.
There's many things they could have done, which sounds good, but I'm surprised they got it out the door. with the story they had. So.
Oh, they changed the story halfway through. That was the problem.
Yeah, well.
Do you remember the Redcliffe one? That was actually supposed to happen, but he made it a time travel story because they kept...
Oh, let's not bring up the time travel, please. That's it's too much time travel in 1 month for me.
The only one that actually did time travel right, in my opinion, was probably Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver series.
Yes. So. Beautiful game, Legacy of Kain, or the whole series rather.
Yeah.
What?
Sorry, I brought the orchestra with us.
Yeah, the orchestra sort of cranked up the volume there. What'd you say there, Solis? What?
It's like Sir Robin's minstrels following you around.
When do we say the line? At the height of the volume of the orchestra. Let's do that. Okay, thanks, sound guy. We'll do that.
I think this was the same guy that did the audio for Mass Effect 3.
Oh god, yeah. The grenades. Fire the gun. Doom, doom, doom. I don't hear anything. The entire level was ruined, so I don't really care. But no quality control. We got the best line in the game, which was Cortez screaming about Steve. So that was, or rather, Shepard screaming about Steve. So gotta love the errors that make you laugh.
I still love it how they say you're in London, but the only thing that actually makes it British is the fact that we still use red telephone box 200 years in the future.
Yeah, I don't know. That just made me laugh. It's like, hey, this instructable red box. What is this thing? I'll hide behind it while I get shot at. Okay.
It reminds me of Austin Powers, where you can clearly tell they're in the Arizona desert, but they have to make it British, so they literally just stick a telephone box.
I'm sure they're still functional in the future. They all like using it for nostalgia's sake.
How do you know we're in France, where you can always see the Eiffel Tower anywhere in France, clearly?
Yep.
Now, graphics are a marked improvement in both detail and style from Dragon Age 2.
Yep.
Now, sure, they're not mind-blowing in this day, okay? And I always felt like they lagged behind the current times in this series, but there is no doubting that some beauty is there in the environments, especially with the right lighting. Animations are fantastic, and lip syncing is great. Details that you might miss if you aren't really close up to the characters as they speak out in the world.
So he was obviously comparing Dragon Age 2, the quality models of NPCs, and some of the lip syncing. It wasn't that bad in Dragon Age 2, depending, but yeah, voice acting has always been good.
Oh no, it's fine, yeah? It's just, I thought it'd be bigger. Hear that? I meant the stronghold.
When I first saw Sarah in that reveal trailer, I thought, oh, this is going to be a cool, sophisticated, sort of magical, elven chick. I'm like, oh, this is going to be an awesome character. And then we find out she's Sarah. And it's like, oh, this is not what I want at all. This is almost the opposite of what I was expecting.
Sarah's not more of a who, more of a what.
Yeah, what is this thing? What does she want? What do you do? Why do you care? Why do you hate the nobles? Like, just chill out, lady. Stop killing people. Like, you're nuts. She's kind of like a murderous like a really crazy murderous Robin Hood with no friends, who thinks she is part of a team, and it's just bizarre.
But it sounded like, well, it's funny, right? Anyway, stopping wars should earn more sovereigns than this. Need things back to...
Like, imagine a stupid Harley Quinn, like a crazy, stupid Harley Quinn with no Joker, and she's just going around killing people. Like, that's what she does.
Normal for coins to be flowing again. Another reason the Templars and mages need to be sat down.
The Templars and the mages. Most people pick a side.
Most people are stupid.
On the gameplay side of things, they attempt to blend the tactical origins with the action-oriented Dragon Age 2. And for the most part, it works. I was always a fan of both. However, it's not without its faults. The much lauded return of that tactical view has problems. Its zoom and perspective are tough to get right for it to be useful for long periods of time.
Yeah, there's not much variation in the gameplay in terms of positioning. There's very little strategy. It's always, okay, get away, and then if you can, make up a wall if you're a mage. And if not, make sure you cast a spell that generates shields. It's pretty much shield management, the game. You're just making sure your shields are always up. So,
yeah. It's not like in Dragon Age Origins where there were some environmental effects that you could do, like put down oil and then set it on fire to create a firestorm. In this one, none of that. They were actually working on it. Like I remember if they were saying like if you attack someone that has a lightning equipment or something and you use your grapple hook on them, you get electrocuted. I don't think that made it in.
A lot of the grappling techniques with the warrior class didn't work half the time. So if you wanted to pull someone to you or pull yourself to someone, half the time it wouldn't even work because of the level design and how the skill worked. So yeah, a lot of half-baked ideas.
Screen for your companions gives you only a pathetic 5 options. They're pretty simplistic, not what I expect. Useless, unfortunately. I didn't even mess with any of those except for one puzzle that required my party members to stay put while I leave them and go activate some consoles. But even more upsetting is, for PC gamers, is the terribly awkward PC controls at release. I played with a controller, so it didn't really impact my personal experience, but when I turned that off and tried the keyboard and mouse, I can see why PC users were frustrated, especially with no real auto attack, no auto loot pickup, and it just makes the game harder to enjoy. There's no tool tips, no screen edge.
Don't you love pinging everywhere you go to find items?
Oh, jeez.
Was it the V button, I think?
So
just V everywhere.
Yeah. Like I say, what he's actually talking about is that, once again, this is a reaction. It's like, it is a step up from Dragon Age 2, which you had to continually keep hitting the attack button to keep working it. But what they did was that you had to turn it around and press and hold. It's just like, just have an auto attack then. There's no point to having you pressing and holding. I just don't see the point in it. It's stupid, basically. Like, we need to make it more action oriented. You need to be more involved. Okay, hold down this one button. Okay, I'm involved now. Thank you, BioWare.
We're having fun, BioWare. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, it's not like you're making an action-oriented game like, say, Devil May Cry, where you're juggling people and then using different combos and things like that, or like Tekken or Street Fighter. It's an RPG. Give us an auto attack for crying out loud.
You had it in Dragon Age Origins. You could do it in all the other games too. So.
Mouse look with limited remapping options. It feels like a console port here in every way. A shame, since Origins was one of the better PC games of its time. Each character now has an added unique ability branch and one mega focus ability. It's like a super, okay? It encourages you to play as the different individual characters in your party, including your own custom character, just to see what they all look like. There's also certain character perks that, like Deft Hands, that can be unlocked through Inquisition perks that allow...
This was kind of confusing and annoying because I wasn't sure what points I needed to unlock this stuff, because there were power points and then there were other points, and I was like, what the hell is going on with this map?
Yeah.
But as I said, the best party is Vivienne, yourself as Knight Enchanter, Mage, or Mage Knight Enchanter, Cassandra as a knight, or I guess, was Blackwell the defensive knight? I can't recall. But
yeah, he was sword and shield as well.
Yeah, so
Cassandra's sword and
anyone
shield.
with a shield that can generate their own armor or generate their own shields, and Varric for unlocking chests and unlocking doors. You could play the whole game that way.
Well, actually, you could armor was done very strangely because it was like the taunt ability granted everyone armor. So if you were surrounded, that gave you like the armor shards on top.
Right.
So, literally you could get Iron Bull and just keep doing that. You just keep replenishing your armor all the time. So you didn't really touch anything else. So.
But that's the problem. That's the whole game. Like all you're doing is constantly refreshing your shields. And I don't mind that as a mechanic, but it should be something like, hey, I can do a defensive maneuver. I should do a tactical maneuver. I should do an offensive maneuver. But there's no real strategy aside from, my cooldown came back. Now I have to replenish my shields, because healing is completely limited. So you can't do that too much. And that's why Knight Enchanter is one of the best classes, because it can not only heal you, it can revive you. So
I think this was actually, once again, it's like they draw from the wrong conclusions. Like in interviews, I think Mark Dara was talking about, like they didn't like the idea of your mana regenerating. I was like, well, yeah, that happened in Dragon Age 2, but it didn't happen in Dragon Age Origins. You had to use poultices to, lyrium shards and things like that to replenish it. So it's like you already had the answer in Dragon Age Origins. You had stamina, you had mana, you had health. It was all there, but you decided to do away with it because people didn't like Dragon Age 2. Yeah.
It's strange. I don't know why they change things for the sake of it, but it does. I wouldn't say it breaks lore, but if they did not have a sufficient lore explanation, which technically was there with lyrium and everyone drinking lyrium for power, now everything's a cooldown, so it's like, it's a gameplay mechanic. I guess we can let it slide. That sort of mentality. So yeah.
I think once again with Inquisition, like they're trying to go for this idea of you can't be everywhere and you only had a limited amount of supplies, but the reality of the game was that you just went back and forth between your camp just to replenish your poultices and your health potions, and that was it.
Yeah,
it's like, it's just a time extension, a waste of time, basically.
So here's a super chat from Austin Unruh. The original was the only good game in the series. It was the most consistent quality game of the series. Even my hampering of Dragon Age 2, it was fun with the dialogue. The reason why you play these games is because of the parties, and because of the 3 people you can bring in your parties, and the comments and the jokes and the quirky personalities of everyone. That's why you enjoy it. It's the fun banter that you go on. That's the great part of these games. The plot should be solid, but it's not, as we saw in Dragon Age 2 and 3, or Inquisition. So that is the problem, and that's why we like these characters. That's why we love Leliana. That's why we love Morrigan and all these characters from the first game. As goofy and weird as they were, like Shale, Sten, like they were the best because of their personalities. So, not to say that Dorian isn't great or Blackwall isn't great as having their own storylines. They're just not as relevant. They're just not as important. So, and Leliana, what they did to her was just bizarre. I don't know, bringing her back from the dead, and it's like, oh, she's not really dead. She's a fade creature. Like, what? Okay, thanks. What was his name? David Gator. Like, thanks. That's really great explanation there. Well, maybe in my game, in my headcanon, she didn't die. Like, okay.
I think once again, this is the problem that it's strange because Dragon Age actually did a far better job of continuity than Mass Effect. But because they tried to Mass Effect Dragon Age with the whole continuity continuing over, I think that Dragon Age 3 should have been set in a completely different location, away from Ferelden, so you don't need to have those. Because if you're looking back at the past, then you either get caught up in the moments where it's like, well, what if Alistair's king? What if Honora's king? What if whoever's king or queen or whatever, Or it trivializes them into just, here's a cameo of Alistair. Here's a cameo of Honora. And it's like, well, what's the point in having these choices if that's all you're going to get?
Yeah. Same with not playing the game. And you have to go through that Dragon Age keep system to generate a save file. It's like, thanks, that's not...
Yeah. So it's like, just set it in Orlais and Navarre, and that's it. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
That's where... Make it a standalone game. Basically, that's what they should have gone down, personally. Like, I know Deus Ex, you had Human Revolution, and was it Mankind Divided? And they just basically they actually had the balls to say, no, this is the canon ended, this is what happened, let's move forward. At least they did that.
I know, but it was the worst ending possible. It was the most nihilistic, blow everything up. It was like, only a psychopath would juice this. It's like, Jensen, what are you doing? So
I think that's what we call the whoops option.
Yeah, I don't mind the worst possible scenario, but not the worst possible mental thought in your head. Like, if you have all the levers to pull, you're like, okay, I can do the least offensive thing. I could walk away. I could help someone, or I could kill everyone. What should I do? And you chose to kill everyone. Just like, oh. And that speech at the end with Jensen was like, oh, no. Not good, but, yes, they had the balls to choose it, which is cool when you think about it, because you can create a horrific world that you then have to heal, like a post-apocalyptic world. But this wasn't that. This was just an explosion of a tower underwater, which caused people to go haywire, and everyone distrusts you now because you're cybernetic.
Yeah.
Allow you to access parts of the levels that you wouldn't have been able to before for some sweet-ass loot. Finally, there's the dragons. They've returned, okay? And yes, dragon hunting is fucking epic.
They're all optional. Who cares?
Welcome, for we're about to go dragon hunting. I know we're not. Firing. The fucking shit.
All of them are elemental, so you just need to have the elemental punches, and that's it. They're easy as anything.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, yeah, they're hard. They're big enemies, but they're all optional. So it's like, I don't want a game that has an optional content when the title of the game is Dragon Age. I want dragons, and you do get to fight a dragon, I think once, and that becomes your ally to fight another dragon, which is like, okay, cool, but that's once. I want actual dragons in a story about Dragon Age. Should be pretty basic.
I loved how they move, fly, and just stay dynamic. It's not quite at the level of Dragon's Dogma, where in terms of fighting oversized creatures.
See, that's a great point. Dragon's Dogma is amazing for fighting dragons. That should be the golden standard for dragon hunting. Forget Skyrim, forget... I'm trying to think of other games that have dragons, but that Dragon's Dogma, like, you grab stuff and you hold on for dear life. That's amazing.
I was going to say Shadow of the Colossus then. But...
Yeah, same idea. Yeah, you're holding on. Well, Shadow of the Colossus is a lot more. It's basically a puzzle, which is really cool. Yeah. If they can make a dragon a puzzle, that'd be great. Because right now, all it is a big target. You're running away half the time. It's like, okay. Give me some level design with your dragon fight where you're dodging in between columns or pillars and they collapse and there's broken levels and you have to climb up and fall. Like, that would be great. But they're just, I'm a big dragon. Here's a big open field because we have a giant level we created. Got to fill it up with something. Oh, let's put a dragon in there.
God, I wish games would get with the program there, but this is about as good as it can get without using the Dragon's Dogma system. It's intense battles, okay, that go down to the wire, and the dragons move around.
Okay, so this is his obviously very favorite view of Dragon Age, okay? I played some of the dragon levels. I was like, yeah, they're just big sponges for damage. That's all they are.
It's awesome. And the game is so involving. The only time you're taken out of this experience is the damn overly long loading screens. And these are offset somewhat by cards that you can read, but for whatever reason, those don't stay on the screen. And so as you're reading something, it goes to a black screen. You're just left staring at a black screen while it loads. What's the reason behind two different loading screens? It's not cool, okay? There's also some minor annoyances. There should be a direct option to equip and to compare loot as you pick it up instead of fumbling through multiple clicks and menus to equip it and then compare it to one of your other characters. There's books, but you'll long for the actual visual representation found in Skyrim rather than these lifeless black prompt boxes. I felt like the horses weren't fast enough. They didn't feel
Yeah,
right.
that's true.
I
Okay.
hardly ever used them. Bizarrely, BioWare also locks the conversation cutscenes to 30 frames per second for no real reason. It's just odd seeing it jittering compared to actual gameplay.
That's
and I
probably
couldn't really
due to
find out.
the animation. Like the people that did it probably set it to 30 frames per second. So I've seen some things where, like, I remember when I used to play Fear on like a new computer back then, because they tied the physics to the frames per second. So when you had like 400 frames per second, like the physics just go mental. So that might be something to do with it.
Out how much a character likes or dislikes me at any given point. But none of those things really take away from the overall experience. I'd say that the game's biggest negative, though, was there's just not really a risk of losing your companions or having them die in one epic final battle confrontation.
Yeah, that's a problem. Usually you want the focus of Dragon Age to be about the companions and the companion banter. And I can't think of any specific time in Inquisition where that's ever you're ever at any problem with them, any crossroads.
Yeah, they'll always fall. Even in Origins, where you had like the fate of Ferelden basically being consumed by the blight, and people kind of go, you know what, you're doing the wrong way. I'm gonna try and kill you because you're doing this the completely wrong way.
Yeah, that's why Liliana was such a great character, because she was completely one-sided. And could you harden Liliana? I can't remember if you could do that with her.
You could.
I know you could harden Alistair, but I'm quite sure Liliana will always go murder spree on you if you decide to destroy the ashes. So.
Oh, I think there's another one like with Alistair. What was it now? If you don't kill Loghain, Alistair goes, no, I'm not doing it. Like if you refuse to kill Loghain, then basically Alistair leaves.
Yeah, if you harden Alistair and you don't do that, he does not lose his mind about Loghain. I'd have to look that up. I'm kind of curious myself.
I think he always loses because Loghain replaces Alistair.
Right.
So I think that might be it. But yeah, it's interesting to sort of see that characters kind of have an actual limitation. They kind of go, no, you've gone too far now. I'm leaving. Whereas this one, you can actually punch Soldier square in the flipping bull's face, and he would just go, yep. I'm cool with that. You know.
Thanks, game. Yeah, I really wanted to have more dynamics with the characters. That's the whole reason you play these games. And to me, it's like a higher budget Suikoden. I love the Suikoden series because you have these massive amount of people, and they all have their own little stories, even though they're not very involved. And they're all specialized, where in this one, it's all focused. It's all like, here's the mage person, here's the warrior person, here's this person. It's like, okay, and they were great. In Origins, they were great. Shale is still my favorite. Sten is a close second. And everyone else is like, great. So even the dog was good.
Yeah.
Wish they would have borrowed that build-up from Mass Effect series. It certainly seems as if they intended to do so. You build up resources, upgrade.
Oh, he's figuring it out. Good going, Joe. Yeah. You figured it out. Why did you do all this stuff in the game when you fight some guy at the end for no reason? Yes, exactly.
That makes the ground levitate.
Yay.
Asshole, you're upgrading your armies.
That's what Red Lyrium does. Oh, that flipping
all that
battering.
shit, but there's no final confrontation that puts your companions.
I like that. There's no protection on the battering ram.
I kept thinking
that's just awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Isn't it fantastic?
What shall we do? We just kill everyone that's mounted. That's nice, isn't it?
And the battering ram is a giant piece of metal with spikes
that
at it.
Gets stuck.
That is not a battering ram. That's a giant pizza slicer. You need something dull. You need something hard. So the impact goes across the metal, not as a point.
Yeah, that's like something. What's the face now from Mortal Kombat? Kitana? The lady in blue. I forgot what her name is. It's something like she would wear. I know she wears the kind of fan bladed things, but it's something like that, you know.
Yeah, battering rams are giant blunt force. They're not giant spears, okay?
Yes, you got the fist part right, but then I think this is from BioWare again.
Yeah.
They let the artists run wild over the writers, and I think this was a thing with Mass Effect 2, where like should we have people in spacesuits, or should we just have people in costume designer clothing?
With rebreather masks in vacuums. Like, what?
I don't know. They're protected against the extreme heat and cold and the vacuum of space.
Air pressure. What's that? I don't know what air pressure is. Who knows? Gravity? Yeah, it's gravity. Don't worry.
It's just a hostile environmental sun that can go through your shields.
Microbacteria, radiation. I have no idea. These are words. Don't you remember the first game? How much you loved getting back on the Normandy and that decompressurization, and then the what was it called? I can't remember the name, but they scanned you. It's like, oh, gotta be clean. Gotta make sure.
The decontamination process.
Exactly. I loved it. I love that. Just little details. Little details. Oh, I'm a spaceman. It makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. Hit the loading screen as well. Load up the Normandy, because that was a pretty big level, and it was broken half the time.
Lovely elevator. It's like, oh, that's a really powerful elevator. Wow. You can lift like 3 tons off that elevator. It's like nice and slow. It's like, ooh, it's a loading screen.
Well, what I thought was good about that, though, is it gave you a sense of the world. Like, you heard the exploits of what you did, like at Ferros and Novaria and places like that. I thought that was cool. You know, you get to hear about the impact of what you've done from these little newsreels and the slant that they'll the council that would actually put on it, because it's done the same. Yeah, like I say, we were talking about the bards earlier. But hey ho.
Yep.
I need to upgrade my castle fully because it will likely be attacked in that final battle, and I wanted to keep everybody alive. But that never happens. The final boss level feels a bit slightly rushed and kind of makes all that building up of your Inquisition cheapened in subsequent playthroughs.
See, this is the problem with the narrative as well, because we need a reason to do all our things. And we should always be playing second in command or second runner to the antagonist. We're always trying to catch up. So we should always be weaker. So we say, oh, we have to get a new weapon. We have to get more forces. We need more resources. That should always be the struggle. And there's just like the entire game after Haven, it's like, oh, we're amazing. We're so powerful. What's Corypheus doing? We're always ahead of him. He always loses. We always get the second. We're always ahead of him. And he's always angry at us. It's like, this guy sucks as a villain because of that. Yeah. So it doesn't work as well.
I think, once again, it's just kind of, you know, where do you want your perspective from? Like, to me, I would have loved it if, like, you were the one that was hunted by the Inquisition. Like, you were the one that had the power to, like, seal rifts. So, like, you were either seen as, like, like, people, like, you're doing good, but wherever you go, chaos is kind of, like, happening, like, the rift's open. And you're trying to, like, seal it. But, so, like, people's perceptions are going to be different.
Yeah, they'll see you as like a false prophet. Everyone sort of wants to hurt you or admire you. The bad guys want you because you have the magical power to stop them. So you're always sort of being protected. Like, there should be like a huge mentality from Cassandra to protect you. Like, she's always extremely on edge because she's in charge of this all, and you're like really important. And it never really, like, she's serious about the Inquisition, but that's it. She's not serious about protecting you. And it's always, well, I'm in control, so don't worry, Cassandra. It's like, okay. And you just gave me the power because I have magical hand? Is that it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think, like, Cassandra should have been, like, someone hunting you as well. And
that would have been perfect, yes.
Yeah. But you can actually try to convince her, like, that's the whole point of the games, that you're trying to convince the people that are hunting you, like, no, actually, you're a good guy. But it's just that wherever you arrive, people kind of go, like, oh dear God, wherever he or she arrives, chaos just completely erupts.
Yes.
Because, like, and that's the problem, like, you are the fourth bringer of doom from their perspective.
And she thinks you're the bad guy. She has to stop you. And
yeah, she's trolling this. It's like what's anime now? Trigun, Vash the Stampede. You know,
right?
It's like you look at Vash and he's just this normal dude that just gets caught in these chaotic situations. And he's but he's blamed for everything. That's what you want.
That would at least give the intro more value than, who are you? What are you doing? what happened to the divine? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, I don't know. I've forgotten everything. Oh, well, here you go. Here's your freedom. Go kill some things for us. We'll follow you. You're in charge now. Like, what? Why? aren't you that left hand of the divine? What are you doing, Cassandra? What?
Yeah, it's kind of like putting you in the position of like, what if you were Andraste? How would the people of that time perceive? Like many people at that Andraste's time saw her as a heretic. The Winter Imperium did, that's for sure. But you know what I mean? It's that kind of, you would have followers, you would have cultists following you and even doing crazy things, and that would also affect your perception of, you got like these cultists like doing blood sacrifices to you, trying to summon you, and you're like, what's going on? Like then you'd have false idols of like the demons representing you as well. So like you could have so many crazy things, and like so your perception, that's where you could have demeanor and nature. Like demeanor is like how people perceive you, and then you've got your actual true self. So that kind of, if they were going to do it like a kind of Varric, like looking back kind of thing, that'd be a kind of interesting way. But who knows?
So the many, many things we could have done with creative control, but
because it really didn't matter a whole lot. And then we have the multiplayer. I wanted to sing the praises of Dragon Age multiplayer. But this.
Okay, small chairs.
we're going to skip this because we know it sucks and he hates it too.
What? Do I have to pay for
other companies? Balance tab, you hit a wall of failure at some point, and then you either grind it out to hell over and over on 3 fucking maps till you overcome that, or you drop cash on new characters and potions and items. Fucking bullshit. After the first few matches, it quickly becomes repetitive. It's clear there's not a whole lot of effort put up into it here. It was just built up to make it workable and monetizable. Not at all what I envisioned for Dragon Age's first foray into multiplayer. Thanks a lot. You fucked it up.
I got another.
Shit, this is becoming a problem. And it better not get worse in 2015. Now, I spent over 60 hours in this world, and I could have easily spent 100 just in my first playthrough. And I'm immediately excited about trying the alternate paths and playing again. There's
one alternate path, I think. Mages or Templars.
Oh, that.
And what's the other one? Kill or not kill the female elf or the Samson character, who's the Templar who grows to like twice the size or something with red lyrium. That's it. Those are the options, guys. Let's get too bad.
Oh, who wins, either the Warden or Hawkeye against the big slow moving spider thing?
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, that choice too. But that's like, meh.
I like the way everyone calls him the Warden because they can't be bothered to kind of go, what was this guy? The French dude. I forgot his name.
The French Warden guy.
French Warden guy.
Or Legion Warden. I am French.
Let's just call him Warden. Hi, Warden.
The red-headed Warden guy. The ginger. What? You killed the ginger in the Fade? Well, yeah. Who the hell is that guy?
I still like that fight though. It's just the big spiders like, oh, what are you guys doing here? Oh, you're attacking me. Oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah, why does he give a damn? I'm a giant spider creature. Who are you? Nobody. Oh, all right.
That would have been a wicked boss fight. Like fight the creature or sacrifice one of your friends.
Yeah, actually try and use all this amazing gear and experience you have to beat this thing. But no, you got to run away now. All right.
Thank you. Someone's behind me. Stroud. Thank you.
It's kind of the same argument I have with Mass Effect 1 with Caden and Ashley. It's like, I could have saved them both. I could have.
Funnily enough, there was actually sound files for you to do that. They were planning it, but then they thought, no, we need to make this a bit more impactful. So they cut it.
Yeah, again, if these games were based off time, which Dragon Age Inquisition looked like it was supposed to be, it's like, oh, why couldn't we do that? Why couldn't we grind and grind to get so powerful that we can speed around the map and solve all the problems before they occur? That would have been great. And then you would have an amazing New Game Plus where you're already like a god. You just run around steamrolling everyone. It's like, what? The elves are attacking. Wait, let me just launch some thunderbolts from miles away. Bam. Okay, we're done. Oh, you got to seal up that hole in the sky? Yeah, give me a few seconds. It's like, I got to solve that problem. Like, that's what you want. You want this really powerful, godlike New Game Plus experience.
I think that's idea, like you being the hunted one, would be brilliant, because you're going to have people, everyone's after your power. Like, people are trying to stop you, people are trying to capture you, people are trying to kill you, sacrifice you. And you're just this one dude trying to actually stop the hole in the sky from actually getting bigger, you know, because everyone's so caught up in their own.
That would have been great. That would have been totally cool in a New Game Plus, where they're all trying to stop you and you're like so powerful. It's like, okay, I'm trying to help people here. Can you not try and stab me? And they try and stab you and you're like, no. Okay, listen.
See, I think actually, one of my original ideas was actually, I know this would have to make it a canon playthrough. That was obviously if you were the child of Morrigan that took the to Wintergod, and that's why you're being hunted by everyone.
That would have been interesting. Morrigan would be a lot older, and man, yeah,
it'd be actually good to have a mother figure in a game.
Yeah, no,
that doesn't die in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, no,
you know?
That'd be great. People are asking me in the chat again about Pathfinder Kingmaker. Yes, I did help kickstart that game. I loved it. It's great. It's gigantic. To play it takes hundreds of hours at minimum because of the loading time, because of all the scene transition, because of the map system. It's so slow. So, yes, it is a great game now, and I can't wait for Wrath of the Righteous. So, yes, I would love to play more of that game and review it. It's just a very long investment. So, oh, you want me to review Chrono Trigger? Hey, there's that's one of my favorite games. So, yeah. Whenever I get off my ass and go back to doing plot analysis, I'll probably do some easy ones like that.
A ton of value for my money here, okay?
Okay, so he's making the conclusion that based on what you get, yes, there's lots of stuff. There's lots of stuff in this game. I agree. Whether that's value for your money is up to you. But to me, I like concise storytelling with memorable characters that are relevant to the story, not gigantic maps as if I'm in an MMO to do fetch quests. It doesn't really appeal to me very much.
It's a very disjointed story. It's definitely hastily stapled together.
Yeah.
That's what I felt it was anyway. It was just like, why am I going over here now? Because I got told to. Am I the leader or am I getting told to go places?
Yeah. Someone's asking me a question. Do you think of the extra DLC dungeons for Chrono Trigger? I have no idea what you're talking about. DLC dungeons for a Super Nintendo game?
Is it on like DS or something?
Is he talking about the satellite game, Radical Dreamers, which was a precursor to Chrono Cross? Is that what you mean? I don't know. I don't know anything about DLC. This was before the age of DLC, guys. We're talking about the golden age of RPGs in the 90s. So, don't know what you talk about. Oh, the DS. Yes, I played the DS. Yes. Do I remember the DS dungeons? I actually don't. I remember the cutscenes, but not the. No, I don't remember the dungeons. So maybe I'd have to go on YouTube and find that out.
And so that brings me to the final verdict. Dragon Age is a solid 9 out of 10. That is a must-own in my opinion.
That's pretty high. I don't know if I would ever go that high. Maybe a 6. Maybe. Just because of the dialogue, because of all the voice acting. And it's entertaining. Like, I'll give it that. There's lots and lots of people in there putting their talent. Everything else is mediocre at best. Everything else takes so much longer to do, and it's not very rewarding. The storyline is not even. It's just ugh. It's like you're eating a steak, but it's all dry. It's like, oh, it's still a steak, but it's just no flavor. It's all dry. You're like sawing through it. You know?
Yeah, you definitely need some gravy on that to give it some moisture.
Just keep drinking beer, just keep chugging drinks, just to get through the meal. And at the end, it gets really tiresome.
Now, if you're playing on PC and you were expecting a tactical mode and good controls, you're gonna be disappointed. The PC version does clock in lower at 8 out of 10. Until they get a major update or a patch out there to address it and tailor it to PC players, not fucking console ports. Now, it may be true that the branching paths in the game only have the illusion of choice, and it may be true that it had to be scaled back a bit from some of the previews, but it all ends up enjoyable because of its high quality.
That was actually something that I didn't actually know at the time, but this was actually also put on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, which severely limited what they can and cannot. So, because it was put on Xbox One and PlayStation 4 as well. So, I don't know why they decided to go for 5 options, if you include PC.
I know they had multiple events for multiplayer. I think you could team up with Isabella. I think she popped in now and again, but I never played it. Yeah, I never cared.
I was just talking about the console ports.
Oh,
which is like, why put it on the Xbox 360 or the PlayStation 3? It's not going to sell as much there.
Yeah, because
they're all the generation titles. It doesn't make any sense. So why would you hamper yourself to do that? I just don't understand that. But also as well, I think with BioWare, maybe this is just a general BioWare thing, but I think the problem with development is that they make their developmental process so toxic that whenever they try to do another sequel, they have to redo everything from the ground. Like, Mass Effect 1's development was so horrible, we just need to get rid of it because we want to forget about that. So they go and put completely fresh. It's like they remove everything that they learned and go, right, we're going to start off fresh. It's like, no, you build on what you've done before. Inquisition has the potential to be good if they build upon it. It's there, but they scrapped it all, didn't they? So
yeah, I compare that to the XCOM series. I think the recent game just came out. I saw some of the gameplay. They have this thing called the Breach.
Chimera.
Yeah, the Chimera Squad. They downgraded the art and graphics, so it's less epic. It's more sort of comic booky. And they have this breaching system, so everyone has an option of jumping into a room and just doing quick hits, either 100% accuracy or what have you. So that was a nice, they're just adding to the formula. They're not toning stuff down too much, but it's just adding to it. The problem is they wanted to focus the story as well, and they sort of dropped the ball. And I like the idea of where you have to pick and choose your squad. You can randomly not randomly, you can then say, okay, we have 4 or 3 dossiers to get a new squad member. And it's very particular. So this is going to be the hacker chick. This is going to be the big hulking alien dude. And that's all great. But there's nothing about them that makes the story personal. It's just, it's the hacker chick. Oh, he knows this other guy on the squad. And that's it. Like there's no you tried to hit on me 2 years ago. Blah, blah, blah. Like there's nothing like that. There's implication of that, but it goes nowhere. So what's the point of having a focused squad where you can't customize your character? Because that was the appeal of the modding community, at least of XCOM, was that you can have a squad of 6 guys, and they're all your own person. In this game, or you would get robots in case if your guy goes down, you have this android pop out and just he's just this murder machine. This guy's awesome. Why don't we always have this guy? So there's some good ideas hampered by bad ideas, and the storytelling is just lame, and the art style is it's kind of meh. And there's some great characters like the puncher. I call her the puncher. Just this alien chick. And she doesn't have any guns. She just runs around the battlefield and punches people. It's this is awesome. What a great idea. And you get a passive skill where she doesn't trigger any Overwatch. And I'm that's hilarious. Nowhere near as fun as the Vanguards in War of the Chosen in XCOM 2. Nowhere near as fun as that. Was really fun. Where you're just going around and doing crazy melee maneuvers on everyone. But, mixing it up. So XCOM series, I'm much more impressed with gameplay. much smaller game, much simpler game. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for great games with good stories. And sadly, it just, one step or two step forward, 1.5 steps back, I guess. I don't know. I guess I liked XCOM 2 War of the Chosen so much because it was such an improvement over not only the mod community, but just the original base game. So if they built on top of that, I would have been just so impressed. Anyway, back to Dragon Age, which is God knows what.
Presentation and the satisfying gameplay. You still want to play some more. The game sets up a possible expansion respectfully, giving us a complete story.
Zero. Was there an expansion aside from
there
that?
Was a few story DLCs.
Yeah, there was. You're right. Oh, geez, I remember them. I just remember them.
Those. Oh. Yeah, they don't really go anywhere, or I won't say they contradict things, but it's like they go into things, but they don't answer it. So it's so vague that there wasn't really much point in it in the first place. And more to the point, it's like, how is this going to be impacted in the next Dragon Age? Because they're going to do it, and they're going to be hamstrung by it.
They're going to go to Tevinter, and that's that. There's no other options.
I don't think that's actually on the table anymore. I don't think they're doing Tevinter.
Yeah, well.
That was Laidlaw's idea.
It's just... It's mediocre, guys. I just can't get excited about it anymore. And I hear these fanboys, and as UDP, I was like, oh, good Lord. How are you so... How? Why?
They're working on the next Mass Effect game. Oh, how are they going to mess this one up this time? They didn't have enough time. It's like they had 5 years to make Andromeda. 5. They did Mass Effect 2 and 3 in that time. Just picture that.
Yeah. Here's a great idea. Someone mentioned in the comments. How about a game design brainstorm stream just for the fun of it? That'll be crazy because we can just sit there and go nuts. So we'd have to create our own idea, get a genre, do light story dusting, get some gameplay elements we like. It's going to be just this crazy amalgamation of everything, which is going to be a mess.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, though, it depends on what kind of, the more action, the more technical the game is to make, the more linear the story has to become. But if you make the gameplay easier to make, then the more divergent your story can become because it's easier to reproduce. Just from a technical.
So we have to be mindful of game design and narrative branching. What do you want? Do you want a game with lots of choices, or do you want a game with lots of gameplay? So it's kind of like Metal Gear.
Yeah,
Metal Gear is a very linear story, but lots and lots of options in gameplay. Lots of weapons, lots of techniques, lots of tactics. With Mass Effect, everything was streamlined and dumbed down, so that all the choices are very small and minute, and it's all going to happen later. Got chapter 2. Oh, nope, going to happen later. Got chapter 3. Oh, everything's a number. You get 3. There you go.
That's so much fun. We blew all the budget on all these set piece action sequences and motion capture, but we're just going to blame EA for that when it wasn't our fault for doing this and writing out the story.
Yeah.
Let's just blame EA for that. Sure, BioWare, sure.
Without completely sequel baiting. You're left wanting more in a good way. And so many companies and franchises get this wrong. And
I think Joe is probably wizened up in his old age. He might have done a different review if he reviewed it today. So I think 9 is a bit high.
I think, it's like when I first played through, it's like, well, I'm enjoying this, but then for me, my RPG experience truly comes in when I play it again. Like, there's a reason why I can play Dragon Age Origins and Mass Effect repeatedly, because even though I play through most exactly the same, because I'm boring like that, but there's a reason why I can keep doing that. But with Inquisition, I'm not even on my 4th playthrough. I'm just bored of this.
I'm surprised you went through 4. That's amazing. I could barely get through this.
No,
first.
I only went through halfway. Each time I reached a certain point, I'm just like, I've got lactic acid in my brain from so much effort trying to get through this. I think it's when you reach just after all day. Like, I'm just so clogged with fluff. I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. I just cannot physically do it.
happy to see it done well here, so stay after the credits. So where's Dragon Age gonna go next? Who knows? Perhaps elven gods, Inquisition warring with nations, maybe the Sixth Blight. Whatever is the case, I'm looking forward to it as Dragon Age is back in top form. Until then, I'll see you guys on the next.
That's another thing that I
AngryJoe
don't understand with Corypheus' motivation in this game, is that he knows that the Tevinter gods still exist. He's seen them, he knows they exist, and they're just sleeping. Why isn't he going after? He's a Darkspawn, he doesn't have anything to fear. It's like there's still, what, 2 Tevinter gods left over? Or something like that?
I thought they were all gone. I can't remember the storyline, but he went to the...
I think...
Was it the Dark Palace or whatever it was called? And
the Golden City.
Golden City? Okay, and no one was there. So it's like, oh.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in charge now. It's like, okay, go be in charge. Why? Have fun. You know, leave us alone. Okay, bye.
Yeah, this is the thing that I don't understand, but it's just like, why isn't he going, like, I think, is it the 6th Blight that you're on for Alden? Where you do it in Dragon Age Origins? But there's like 8 or 9.
Yeah, you can't go around repeating catastrophes over and over again. It's going to get silly.
But the idea of like him changing, like bringing back a Tevinter side would be interesting, and you're trying to stop that as well. That'd be cool.
It is interesting because of the nature of Tevinter, its politics, its people, its culture. Like I'm curious about it. I am, but it's just like you're gonna keep reinventing the wheel with BioWare. It's like, guys, can you like stick to a formula? Like really, like Dragon Age is now mini game tower defense with RTS elements. Now it's more third person action adventure with pause. Like, okay, it's like, all right. I don't know. I really don't know what this is going to happen, but I'm not holding my breath. I don't really care too much, but I want to see some trailers. I want to see some data. It's been a long time, and BioWare's not producing. So, she's got a super chat. I didn't even see that. Jeez. TLJ Screwjob. Thank you, sir. Only reason I cared about the Grey Warden commander was because Grey Warden, not because of her as a character herself. Oh. I think she was Orlesian. The Grey Warden command, was that the chick with the bald head that was?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That was, yeah, the Wardens go insane. Like, it's this stupid part of the story. I'm going to slaughter all my brothers and sisters to save them. You're like, do you understand logic? Like, what are you doing? You're supposed to save your brothers and sisters, not kill them. Oh, we're killing off only some to save the rest. It's like, when does that stop? When do you stop killing them? Tell us, because you've killed them all.
No one's questioning for that. Everybody's hearing the calling. And you're like, hang on a minute, something's not right here. If we're all hearing it, then this isn't right, you know.
Yeah.
And if we all die now, who's going to? So our plan is to march into the deep roads and try and kill the Tevinter gods before they rise up again. Okay, but what if we fail and there's no more Grey Wardens left? You know what I mean? So you're going to leave a note. Here's how to make a Grey Warden. You know,
and that was Corypheus' whole plan. Yeah, cause the Wardens to go nuts. And no other planning after. Just like it's like that's it. That's all you're going to do.
Once again, you would have thought that the reason why Corypheus would go after the Wardens was maybe they have a way to stop him. Like he's a Darkspawn. You know, it's right there. He managed to capture him before.
Yeah, he wants to eliminate all the Wardens because he doesn't want to die. It's like, yeah, okay, great, makes sense. It's like, no, they don't care. They're just gallivanting. I think the storyline with the supposed storyline with the Warden from the first game, trying to reverse the effects of the Blight or the Taint. I was like, oh, that sounds like an interesting story. That would be nice. It's too bad we couldn't pursue that. We're doing so much random crap. Why couldn't we have done that? That would have worked fine. I think. Someone's telling me in the chat that the super chat was about the Dragon Age Awakening in the original Origins. So that was a long time ago. Ooh. Okay. Well, Anyway, that was kind of fun. I like talking about these things just because it's been a while, and Angry Joe is a pretty honest guy, as enthusiastic as his scoring is. I wish BioWare can get better. I hope they do. I'm just probably going to be a heck of a lot older by the time their next game comes out. So I'm not holding my breath. I'm getting on with life, and maybe I'm going to probably do a poll. Which plot analysis I should do next, because a lot of people have been asking me that. And it's probably about time I get back to doing that, because people like that a lot. Aside from me just talking about the news and having streams, as much as I enjoy them, I mean, let's get back to work. Let's do that. So, apparently I was wrong. No, it was definitely Dragon Age Inquisition. We were right the first time with that female mage who started killing off her brothers and sisters. Okay. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it, all the time and patience you have with us going through random videos. Thanks again, UDP, for lending your knowledge on everything BioWare. It's always great.
Thank you. I read the Wikipedia.
You're like a walking Wikipedia, exactly. Every time I have a question, I'll just ask you and you'll figure it out within seconds. It's great. I don't have to remember all this crap because, oh my God, there's a lot of crap.
Yeah, there's a lot of Stargate in my head at the moment.
Stargate. Oh, there's a great topic to geek out on. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks for listening. If you have any suggestions, please join the Discord. Go to the suggestion channel. You can talk in that channel. You can leave suggestions for videos, for blog posts, whatever you like. And hey, you might even find yourself on one of the live streams if you're the experts of the information of the topic. That'd be great. So thanks again, and have a great day.